Okay. Okay. Yeah, the air is out of the balloon here, but I got to do what I got to do. I know that most people on this channel are in Seahawks mode or Huskies mode. And even if you are a Mariners fan or you like baseball or whatever, you're kind of tuned out now because, well, the last couple of weeks happened. But I've got a little bit of an obligation here, and things are coming down to the wire, and everything is still in front of us. Like, the season is not over. In fact, if you look at most baseball playoff odds websites, they say the Mariners are more likely to make it than not. So there's no point in walking away at this point, but it it has not been fun. This team has not really been fun to watch lately. There were several games there where they didn't even look all that competitive. Everything just suddenly became hard. Guys that we count on are suddenly not coming through. So many obvious obvious win spots just slip through the fingers, and we're sitting here right now knowing that yeah, we can still do this, we can still get to the playoffs, but with what we've seen lately, how can you possibly feel like anything good is going to happen once you get in? That's my thing. Like, I'm looking at this right now. I'm taking a step back. I'm looking at this Mariners team. 12 games left, 82 wins. So we've locked up an above 500 season. So that's cool. But I'm looking at it and I'm going, okay, we got two against Oakland. We should win both those games. And by the way, if we don't, then that's kind of that feels like a deal breaker pretty much in and of itself. Then we play Texas 7 times. Texas is not playing well at all either. We and them are both playing bad baseball, so there's no reason why we can't take 4 games from them and then take care of business from there and then probably get in. And we play Houston 3 times. Houston isn't exactly playing amazing baseball. It's not even out of the question that we can catch them. But if these things happen, what happens in the playoffs? All of our starting pitching just looks gassed. Like Castillo, I don't know why he's gassed, but it looks like he is. Kirby's got nothing left in the tank. I think he's just pitched too many innings. Gilbert, I guess, has been okay, but it's not like Gilbert's somebody who you can count on to put you on his back and get through 7 shutout innings in a playoff game against a good offense at this point. So it's almost like you don't even know if you care that much if they make the playoffs. So it's a weird spot to be in right now. I'm not happy with things, but we got 12 games left, and if we win enough of them, we get in. So I'm gonna stay tuned until it's over. Last 10 games, I think we're 3-7, and pretty much all of our wins are against pretty bad teams. Um, it doesn't even really feel that good. Like we had a chance to beat the Dodgers a couple times and nothing, couldn't get anything going. Had opportunities to get a win in the Kershaw start, which would have been a season salvager. It felt like we'd feel so different if we won that stupid Kershaw game, and they can't score a single run in regulation. It's just well, maybe they scored one in the ninth. I can't remember. But regardless, the offense is just completely non-existent. Miller pitches out of his mind, and it doesn't matter. We're actually getting great stuff out of some of the young guys, which thank God for that. Thank God we're getting good starts out of Wu and Miller because this team would be completely dead right now if not for them. I feel like there'd just be no hope whatsoever, no optimism at all, and they just kind of keep chugging along on offense. And every day you check the starting lineup, and you're like, wow, we have like 5 competent batters in this lineup. It's like the back half of the lineup is like Dylan Moore, it's Sam Haggerty, it's Luis Torrens, it's Cabby, and Cabby had a good day yesterday, by the way. I want to give him a shout out for that because I like Cabby. But you're making a playoff push here, and this is the best you can do. This is the best team you can field. It's so deflating, so incredibly deflating. So it's been a really tough 10 game stretch. It's been tough to watch at times. It's been tough to find it within you to even turn the TV on sometimes because you just feel like you know what's going to happen. If Julio isn't completely carrying the offense, they don't really score enough. Um, There are a couple other guys in this lineup who are good, right? Like, again, it's a thing I always talk about. We've got a collection of guys who are hitting at an above average clip. Like Cal's having a nice season. Crawford continues to hit well. Kelnick's back, which I'm happy about. He's, hasn't done a ton since he got back, but he's done a little bit. He's going to work his way back into things. Teoscar's turned his season around. Like, there are some guys in this team on this team that are doing respectably, but it's like this is really the group that we're going to war with when we're fighting for our playoff lives. We need every win we can get, and we have these games where we have 5 legitimate hitters in the lineup. It's like, man, how did this happen? We traded Seawald so we wouldn't have to deal with this. And yet, most nights it feels like we're still dealing with it. And then you have all the manager mistakes, which I don't want to get into the specifics there, but I do feel like Service has been a net negative this year, and I thought he did a great job the last 2 seasons. So if you're here expecting me to be a Scott Service hater, that's not happening. Believe me, I think that Scott Service did an incredible job last year and the year before, but this year, a lot of mistakes. A lot of mistakes. Of course, it's not really his fault with some of the players he has to work with. Like, he has to find a way to work with Mike Ford. Like, by the time we get to the end of this season, Mike Ford's going to have probably 250 plate appearances. And a lot of those came in streaks where he would play like 5, 6 days a week. That's not okay for a guy like Mike Ford. He needs to be playing occasionally, maybe 3 games a week, and occasionally he pinch hits. We play him too much, you don't get enough out of him. And shout out to him for doing everything he can. I'm not knocking Mike Ford, believe me, but it's what I'm saying. You're putting too much on the guy. He's a limited player. He's good in limited situations. And we're putting him out there against almost everybody because we got nothing better. We have no other answers here. And I was hoping Canzone and Rojas would free us up a little bit, but not really. Doesn't feel like things changed all that much. I know Marlowe kind of turned into a little bit of a pumpkin and we had to send him back down, which may have cost us that one Dodgers game, by the way, because he could have pinch run for Ford in the extras. But that's not even, that shouldn't even really be a consideration. You shouldn't be counting on Cade Marlowe to save your season like that. You shouldn't be counting on Cade Marlowe keeping up a high level of play to carry your offense or be good in your offense. So it's just disheartening right now overall. It's hard to point to any one thing. Like, you can say, okay, Ty France can't do it anymore. He just can't hit. Ty France is bringing nothing positive to the table here. Suarez is rapidly becoming a defense-only third baseman, which I can live with because I don't think that many third basemen are great offensively, but we needed more offense from him this year because we were counting on it because we got it last year, and you can see it start to fade. He's okay, he's tolerable, but he's not doing anything over the top to try to drag this team. He's part of the group that is getting dragged by guys like Julio and JP. So the lineups are just kind of, it's just kind of depressing sometimes looking at this starting lineup. That's really the only best way I can put it. Night after night, it seems like we have empty spots in this lineup, which I thought we were done with. And some of it is because we have some guys who technically aren't empty spaces in the lineup, but it feels like it right now. Like, France honestly feels like an empty space in the lineup. Cabby felt like one for a long time. But it's just disheartening that we traded our best bullpen pitcher to avoid this, and we're still here. And the pitching, I mean, it's still good, right? Like, it's still, most teams would love to have what we have. Most teams would kill to have our problems. We have 5 starters in this rotation with an above average ERA plus. Castillo is still a borderline ace. I know he turns in the occasional rough start. I know he occasionally can't put batters away. He throws all these pitches. He can only get through like 6 innings, and it's hard for him to get through 6. But he gets it done. ERA is sub 3.1. He's getting it done. Sometimes it's just so ugly. And then Kirby, I think, has just really run out of gas here. He's been bad for like a month now. And I think he just hit his innings limit. And we have to ride him because we got no other choice. But I think our plan was probably going into this season, okay, we're going to give Kirby a break at the end of the season because we're going to have guys like, well, we thought we might have Miller and Wu, but we were going to have Robbie Ray. We were going to have Marco Gonzalez. We were going to have Hancock. And we don't have those guys. So we just got to ride Kirby, and he's wearing down before our eyes. And it's not like he's terrible, but with this lineup being the way that it is sometimes, we kind of need him to be great. And he hasn't been great for a while now. There was a point where I thought you could make a pretty good argument that Kirby was a better pitcher than Castillo, and you can't do that now. He's not even close. He's way closer to Gilbert, and Gilbert's been overall good. I think that recently he's been pitching fine. He's not somebody that I'm really going after. And huge ups, like I said, to Miller and Wu. I think both guys have done phenomenally well given reasonable expectations for them. But it just feels like we got used to having amazing starting pitchers, like we could score 2 runs and win pretty reliably. And we're not getting that right now, and it feels worse than it is. Like, honestly, some of these games we've lost, the pitching has been good enough to win. Kirby's pitched well enough to win, we just can't score. Gilbert's pitched well enough to win, we just can't score. Of course, Miller had the definition of a start like that against the Dodgers. He was great against the Dodgers, and we couldn't get him any support at all. Just completely disheartening. Just absolutely disgusting. But, I mean, those guys, they're good. What am I going to do? Sit here and act like that's not good enough? Having 5 pitchers in your rotation with an above average ERA plus when 3 of your starters are on IL, are out? That's kind of remarkable. Most teams, if they lost 3 guys they were counting on to be in their rotation, they would be trotting out some absolute no-names that just get shelled every 5 days. But we haven't had to do that yet, so my respect to Miller and Wu. Bullpen, I don't know. It's very easy to look at the Sewald trade, but when you make the Sewald trade, your expectation is that the guys behind Sewald can step in and perform. And rather than get upset about the Sewald trade, which we kind of had to do, I know it hasn't completely worked out, but it's worked out some, by the way. Rojas and Canzone were both key parts of some of those winning streaks we had in August. We needed Munoz to not completely lose his slider, which is what he's done for a good chunk of this month. Even a little bit at the end of August, he just lost control of his slider and he's starting to give stuff up. And his numbers are great. His numbers are really good, but he doesn't look unhittable the way he did last year. You're counting on somebody like a Trent Thornton to be really good, and I mean, not knocking Trent Thornton in particular, but you're counting on Isaiah Campbell, and he's not really been all that great. You're counting on Saucedo, and for some reason it seems like we've just lost faith in Saucedo. We don't want to put him out there in high leverage spots, so you constantly end up in this really awkward situation where you almost need Matt Brash to pitch every single game. Because he's been, I know the numbers don't say it, but he's been your most electric bullpen guy. And I know he gives up stuff every now and then. He makes mistakes. He walks batters. He's not necessarily somebody you want to completely trust. But I think Matt Brash has been awesome lately. And he's dug himself out of the hole because he did not start this season very well. And it's just been a bunch of guys who have been playing really well this year who occasionally slip up. And it feels so disastrous when it does because we can't afford to lose games. Like Topa had the game where he gave up the 3-run home run that we ended up losing. We had that game, everything was good, and looking back on it, yeah, we really needed that win. And then Topa gives up the 3-run shot, and it feels like Topa is all of a sudden a pariah. We all hate Topa when he's been great this year. Munoz has given up some games as well. Like I said, he lost control of his slider. But overall, his performance this year has still been really good, so it feels wrong to say, oh, I hate that guy now, but some of these games he's just let get out of control here. It's so ugly. And obviously, we tried some experiments that really didn't work out. We tried the Dominic Leone experiment. I almost forgot he existed, but that was a complete disaster. And we just haven't been able to find that one more bullpen arm we need who's good, who can eat innings for us in some of these close games, not a complete garbage arm. But it's not that bad overall, is what I'm trying to say. All right, that's it. That's what I got. I mean, I don't really know what else to say about this team right now. I might make another Mariners video in a week to see where we are because we got 12 games left. I might make one after like 6 games because by then we'll have a pretty good idea of where things are. Like if Texas is beating us up, then we're just a bad team at this point. But if we can just play mediocre baseball, we can beat Texas because they're playing mediocre baseball too. Like if you go into Texas with the state that Texas is in right now and they blow you out, they handle you, they sweep you or whatever, you're not an average team. You're a bad team right now. And I feel like we're going to have to wait until those games to learn if this team is just like middle of the road or are they just atrocious all of a sudden. And I really would like, I know I just said I think we're going to get killed in the playoffs, and I do think that. And I'm sorry this video is a little longer than most of my Mariners ones, but there's a lot to talk about right now. I just really don't want to be sitting here in a couple weeks thinking about how we had like a 96% playoff odds in like late August and we're not going to make it. And I know that's kind of BS because our playoff odds were at one point like 10%. But I really don't want to be sitting here in 2 weeks thinking about how we should have made the playoffs for the second year in the row. It was all there for us. It was basically a gimme and we blew it. Really, really hoping that doesn't happen. So I don't know if I see a way for it to happen because I truly think our pitchers are gassed. And it's understandable to a certain extent from a guy like Kirby or Gilbert. And of course, the young guys who aren't super blue chippers like Wu and Miller, you can't expect them to carry you. But gotta find a way. Gotta find a way. It might be just scoring a lot of runs. We have the firepower to do it. We showed it in August. I know in August we played a lot of bad teams, but honestly, right now, Texas might be closer to a bad team than a good team. So get it done. And if things do end up badly and we don't make the playoffs and we have this embarrassing September choke on our ledger going into next season, then I'm just, all I can say is that there needs to be some money spent to make sure this doesn't happen again because we're not far away. This is a good team overall. Like overall, over the course of this season, the Mariners are good. Pythagorean win-loss says we're an 85 win team right now. That is already more wins than we had by the Pythagorean win-loss formula 2 years ago, and it's getting close to where we won last year because 2022 we won 90 games, but it was only 89 by the Pythagorean theorem. So this year you're probably going to surpass that. So this is the best Mariners team in a long time. But are they actually going to win enough to make that matter at all? See you guys later.